Hello and welcome back to the Extraneous and Miscellaneous podcast. Um, Today, I'd like to get started, and I would like to focus on a topic that's really underappreciated and not as well known, and that would be cybersecurity. And a lot of people hear about it, but they don't necessarily know what it means or how it applies to you, the consumer, or just as an individual. A lot of people think it may just relate to their professional lives or perhaps the businesses they work for, but that's not necessarily true. So I would like to scale it down. Um, Cyber threats can come from anywhere. I actually have an outline now, so hopefully we'll stay a little better on track. But my dog just killed himself, but that's okay. They have 9 lives, or that's cats or something. I don't know, but cyber threats can come from anywhere. They're not necessarily all these malicious actors out here representing some foreign government, representing Russia, or the anonymous hacker group. It could just be some random guy with a laptop. There are YouTube videos out there about how to get started in hacking, and there are a lot of people that will use that as a constructive tool, and then there are a lot of bad actors out there that will use that for destructive purposes. Anything from obtaining your identity to just obtaining your account passwords or perhaps your banking information. So it's very serious stuff. Cybersecurity, we hear about it a lot relating to these foreign actors, especially in today's news. We know that with the Ukraine conflict, that Russia may be ramping up and preparing to attack some of our own infrastructure here in the United States or wherever you may be. Russia certainly is a big actor. We know that they were responsible for the Colonial Pipeline outage last year, which may have just been a test for what they can do during this conflict. So it's something that a lot of people are on high alert for right now. We also know that they were responsible for the SolarWinds breach, and that's something that affected many different industries, and actually affected me personally because it affected one of our capabilities that we use at work quite a bit to remote onto our clients' computers to help them solve issues. So that's still one that we're watching out for. The thing about these cyber threats is they're usually one use. You get one shot at it. And so these bad actors will aim for the highest level target or the most widespread outage they can get, because once they use that backdoor, once they use that exploit, it'll most likely be patched out very quickly, especially depending on the severity of it. It may shut down whole companies as they go offline and try to fix this from within. So we're kind of waiting, and we're waiting to see how and when Russia and Vladimir Putin will launch these cyber attacks. One of the most surprising things in this whole Ukraine conflict has been that the internet has largely stayed online and available as well as electricity and resources in Ukraine. Russia's taken some steps to limit that, but they haven't been very effective. So this has allowed social media and these other sites to stay up. Today I saw a TikTok video. I don't have the application. I believe TikTok is communist spyware, so I stay very far away from it. But I saw a link someone had posted to a TikTok of a Ukrainian lady, looked like a younger lady, that was showing how to drive an armored personnel carrier, an APC. And she was walking these Ukrainian people through the steps of how to start one of these vehicles up and I guess take off with it, which is really cool. And if I wasn't spoken for, I would be searching out this woman, and I would want to build my life with her. And the APC, the tank, would be our family vehicle. We would just put some seats in there, throw the kids in the back, not hard, but we would throw them in there with some good force, and just have a tank. Why not? I'm sure that there are many women capable of doing the same thing, but just seeing this lady rattle off all the steps one by one. Obviously, this was in Ukrainian, so I didn't speak her language, But, and I don't know how she did it unless they had a field manual within the vehicle, or unless the field manual's available online, because it did not seem very intuitive. There were like 15 different switches, a few different buttons, several steps, but she got that thing going. There are a lot of stereotypes about women drivers, but think about what a woman driver could do with a tank. You could do some real damage. And perhaps that's what we need to do. You wouldn't have people driving over curbs in shopping centers if we had tanks, because there wouldn't be any curbs to drive over. But I kid. Obviously, I kid. But interesting stuff coming out of Ukraine. Now, at home, there are also threats. These aren't just abroad. At home, we are very vulnerable because a lot of people just set up their router and they think they're good to go. And that's how a lot of these systems are made to be used. Comcast or whoever your service provider is will usually give you a router, and a lot of times nowadays, the router and the modem, it's all in one, and so it's just a unified package. But there are a lot of vulnerabilities there. There's also vulnerabilities when you go out to places like coffee shops. That's something that's really one place that you're vulnerable. Anytime you're out and about, don't just hop on random Wi-Fi access points. I know you may be, especially working from home or working remote, a lot of people are doing that because of this pandemic, but we have to be very careful with how we proceed when we're working away from our home. So the reason why it's super important to watch what network you're on is because hackers and these malicious actors have a very easy job when they go to these places like Starbucks. It's so simple that a person armed with a laptop can walk in, and once they make a connection to the official Starbucks Wi-Fi, all they have to do is rebroadcast that network out from their computer or their device. Name it something like free Starbucks Wi-Fi or Starbucks Wi-Fi 2, Starbucks Wi-Fi faster, something close enough to the original, or they can just steal the same name more than likely and broadcast out as Starbucks Wi-Fi. When you log on, you'll be able to access the internet and do everything that you usually would, except this malicious actor, known as a man-in-the-middle attack, they're able to gather your banking information, or they're able to gather your Netflix information, credit card stuff. They may be able to even see what you're doing as far as emails. And what they can do once they're in the middle and receiving all of that traffic is very frightening. They can also do redirects. So once they have control of your internet traffic, you may want to go to USAA.com, but instead they send you to their cloned version where they can take all of your banking information, and you will be none the wiser, because their version may look and act and feel just like the official version, but what you're actually entering in is just giving them all of your information. They can also just let you roam. You may see no differences between the Starbucks Wi-Fi you're on and the one that the bad actor has broadcasted out. You may still be able to log into your Netflix, log into your email and your banking account and everything, but the whole time they're sitting there and scavenging out of the air. They're taking your information, your passwords, and a lot of people use the same passwords for different accounts. So once they have one, there's a good chance that they're going to have 10 or 12 of your other accounts. So that's very, very important to watch out for. So I say don't even log in to the Starbucks Wi-Fi. Don't log into hotel Wi-Fi if you're there. If you have cellular capabilities, especially with LTE as fast as it is, or 5G now, don't even bother with the public networks, because the safety risks there are not worth it, in my opinion, because these man-in-the-middle attacks are so hard to spot. Even if even if you do log into one of these malicious networks, it's not like your browser is going to start throwing up red flags, hacker, hacker, hacker. That's not going to happen. They'll just let you browse and destroy yourself by letting you access all these different web pages. And especially if what you're doing is related to work, you never want to be connected to one of these malicious hotspots. So, things that are like AT&T Wi-Fi, McDonald's Wi-Fi, you want to stay as far away as you can from those hotspots. The better option is to create your own hotspot or to tether your computer via USB or whatever you might want to do. You can even get a USB-C or Lightning to Ethernet connector, and you can send out your own internet feed to your computer wired. That is right. You can just wire in an Ethernet cable, the standard RJ45 Ethernet cable that plugs into the back of your computer or laptop. You can plug that into your phone with an adapter. So there's a lot of workarounds for this security. And something that I love to talk about, love to use are VPNs. But even if you're on one of these malicious networks, it's going to see what information you're broadcasting before it hits your VPN. Because since you're on that network initially, they're going to know what request you're initiating, and they'll be able to scavenge any data they feel free to pick from. So we need to be very, very careful when we're out and about at these coffee shops or just anywhere where there may be public Wi-Fi. You always want to use an extra layer of caution, because what you might think may be innocent web browsing, that's a treasure trove. That's a trove of information and data. And there's many times I've done it. And so there's several times that I've been vulnerable and wasn't even aware of this. So those man-in-the-middle attacks, that's where you have your computer. I'll put it over here. You have your computer. If you can see the video, if you're watching verbally, just imagine a computer to the left. That's your computer. And then on the far other side, the far opposite side, you have the router you're trying to communicate with, or that network. And what the hacker will do is they'll place themselves in the middle with that fake hotspot, and they'll just intercept all your traffic, send it right, scavenge what they need, send it right back out. So one way they get our passwords and things is something known as keyloggers. And it is what it sounds like. They log your keystrokes. So it's really easy to find someone's password and information if you see them typing in their password or their username, so usually an email. And then right after that, you'll look for a string of some characters, maybe a word and a mix of numbers and letters. And if you see that replicated any other place, that's probably going to be their password. All you have to do is pull that, try it out, and if you're in, you're in. So keyloggers can be installed through that man-in-the-middle attack, or it can be installed through careless clicking on an email attachment. Different versions of malware. There are a lot of free, quote unquote, I'm using air quotes for people just listening. There are a lot of quote unquote free virus scanning options that are called rogue antivirus. And what this will do is it'll run its scan and it'll find 8 or 9 supposedly, viruses or issues. And what it's actually doing is installing hidden viruses and or what may be known as Trojans. And so if you know about the story in mythology about the soldiers that hid inside the Trojan horse, it's the same idea. So with a Trojan, it's a friendly looking program that may or may not do the job that it's advertised as, but somewhere within its code, it's going to have that malicious attack. And it's just waiting for you to install that friendly looking program, that quote unquote free antivirus, and then they're going to take advantage of you. So you need to be very careful about what antivirus you use. Nowadays with Windows Defender, antivirus is, I'm not going to say unnecessary, but it's definitely not something that you have to have running on your computer all the time. If you have anything labeled McAfee on your computer, or may say McAfee on your computer, get rid of it right now. Uninstall it. We don't need that. That is a very malicious company, and they will slow down your computer's performance. They will put these fake viruses on your computer, and they will try to extort you for money. So if you see anything about McAfee, run as fast as you can. There are a few others that we can cover, but that's something that I do want to stress. But these keyloggers can be installed in many ways. And once they get that keylogger onto your system, they'll know everything you're typing in. So if they see, let's say 4462, and that's the first two, or that's the first 4 digits of your Visa card, they're going to know that. They're going to know what digits match up with what modern or what major credit cards. And so they're going to scan and look for that and then take your credit card information. Anything that you type in, it registers on their system. So we need to make sure that we're being very careful with keyloggers. Keyloggers can also be installed locally. They have keyloggers. They have, can't really see it here, but they have keyloggers. They have mice, and they have USB cords that actually have the virus or the program inside the USB cable. So, and they have auto run functionality. So if you just connect the wrong USB cable, if you find a charging cable at Starbucks, you don't want to take that home with you, because just the cable itself can harbor these viruses, these keyloggers. And these will usually have auto run functionality and some kind of remote monitoring software. So if you're sitting there charging your computer, or if you have your phone hooked in and you're on your computer, it's going to now be infected. And they may be able to remote in from 50 miles away and see whatever you're doing. And so that's very dangerous. On that same thread, you never want to plug in a USB drive that you just find lying around. It may have these malicious programs, these malicious scripts that will auto run as soon as you plug it into your computer. So if you're going to do something like that, something that crazy, you definitely want to be on a junk system that's not connected to the internet, or possibly even Linux. That way you can hopefully securely find whatever it is you're curious about and not put your system at risk. There's so many harmful things that you can do just accidentally. And so whatever you're plugging into your computer, whatever you're connecting your computer to, whether it's a network, an unknown Bluetooth device, anything like that, you want to make sure you know what it is you're connecting to before you do it. Even through Bluetooth connections, people can install these harmful programs. So if you get a request on your computer, or you see Bluetooth devices maybe on your phone that you don't remember connecting to, you want to make sure you forget those and unpair. If you're not currently using Bluetooth, make sure to disconnect. You don't need to leave that on all the time. Not only will you save performance, you'll also save battery life, but it'll also reduce one of those attack vectors. One of the big tenets of cybersecurity is reducing the avenues of attack. And the ways you can do that is by disconnecting from Wi-Fi, disconnecting your Bluetooth whenever you're out and about and you know you're not going to be using it. Setting in place roadblocks like stronger passwords. We'll get to that in a bit. You want to make sure you limit as much as you can the ways that people can attack you. Because if you're a harder target, most people are going to give up. There are no ways to stay 100% protected except for moving to a cabin in the woods and just disconnecting from electricity altogether. But if you can at least put up resistance, most hackers and attackers are just going to move on. So redirects are another thing I want to talk about. If someone does gain control of your system, or if they somehow get spyware, malware on there, one thing they can do is redirect you to different websites. And that's something along the lines of that man in the middle attack as well. But let's say you want to go to Netflix or you want to go to YouTube. Well, they can redirect your searches wherever they want to. So perhaps it's just a different search engine. And that's one of the telltale signs usually of a redirect is, let's say you're using Google. Google is your main search engine. If you search something and it pulls up some weird, unknown or very bland looking search engine, that's a very obvious sign that you have a redirect somewhere within your browser. And these malicious actors can use this in many ways. It may just be to gain ad revenue for whatever company they're hacking for, but there are many more malicious ways. Like they can direct you, if you're going to eBay, they can direct you to eBuy, and you don't notice the difference. You don't check the URL, and suddenly you're entering in your PayPal information, and half your money's gone. So that's something that we do want to avoid. Now, I do want to shift this more towards home security now. So what can we do while we're at homes, not just out at these coffee shops, but in our own homes? So I talked earlier about internet service providers giving out these routers, these modems, these all-in-one systems, or perhaps you still have a standalone router and modem. The first thing you want to do as soon as you connect it is to go in and change the admin, either the account name or the password. You want to make sure this is a very strong password. I'm going to try to show an example on my shared screen. So we're going to go into screen 2. And so if you're viewing this on YouTube, congratulations. If you're listening in voice, I will try to talk about what I'm doing. So we're going to open up Chrome, and I have a few of my tabs open here already. We're going to open up this. Yes. Okay. So we see here what you'll usually do to access your router's settings is you'll type in your own IP address or your router's IP address. And there's several ways to find this, and I'll show that to us in a second. But you'll type in your own IP address, and it'll pull you up to usually this generic looking login. And so if you're listening, it's usually a login that lists your router's brand, and it'll have username and password. Here's one for D-Link, and we also have one for Netgear as well. So we have, login at home or remote. That may be a different feature based off of what router you have, but we usually have username and password. And the username will usually be admin, at least to start. The bad thing is the password will usually also be admin. It might be blank, or it could be, as this says here, password. That's well known. It's not like it's some hidden secret what your router's default password is. Now, what's the danger of someone getting your router password? Well, if they can gain access to your network, which isn't the hardest thing to do nowadays, once they gain access to your router, they can open up your firewalls. They can open up different ports so they can send in traffic, or maybe they can just listen to whatever information you're sending out. The other thing is that they can totally change your router's password, your wireless ID's password. And so you won't be able to actually access your own Wi-Fi. That's pretty terrifying. If they're nearby, they can set up a link, and they can set up their own remote unit, and they can constantly be inside your network. Another thing is that if they do change that admin password and you're not able to log into your own router settings, then they're now in control of your network. Barring a full factory reset, which you may not even have access to do anymore, you're going to have to replace that whole unit. So you're either going to have to call your internet service provider, pay them to come out and replace that, which shouldn't have ever happened. Or if it's your own system, or depending on how your internet service provider is, you're going to have to go out and buy a brand new router and do this again. So that's something that we want to focus on. Another thing we want to focus on are the types of encryption that we have set up on our home router. So if you've been dealing with Wi-Fi for a while, you may remember WEP, WEP. WEP was one of the original encryptions for wireless capability. The problem with it is that the keys were usually around 12 characters long. And nowadays, there are programs out there for free that will crack that WEP password in less than a minute. I mean, almost instantly now, so people can jump right onto your network. Now, luckily, a lot of newer routers don't support this, so we've seen a transition to WPA. WPA is a newer version of wireless encryption, and it's a little better, but still pretty easy to break through. So the one that everyone should be operating off of now is WPA2, and more specifically, WPA2-AES. And the AES is the type of encryption of WPA2. And so with that, you should have a pretty secure and pretty encrypted communication. And it's not as good as being wired. Being wired is the best way to communicate with your network if you're going to do anything secure working from home. A lot of companies require you to be connected through Ethernet to even work from home because you may be dealing with sensitive data. But we want to make sure we're on WPA2-AES, and we want to make sure we set up a good password. Now, password security is very, very, very important because it's our first and best deterrent for people getting into our accounts. Now, passwords can not only can they be leaked just as a part of data breaches, but they can also be cracked very easily. So hackers will use what's known as a dictionary or a rainbow table, and it'll contain all kinds of human words. It'll literally contain a dictionary, just all kinds of different words and phrases and human sounding words, maybe with different numbers, and the rainbow table will mix in these numbers and these different symbols, and the computer will go through and brute force every single one of these different words and password combinations until it finds the correct one. And depending on how simplistic your password is, it makes it easier to crack. So over on my shared screen, we're going to pull this up for a second. We're going to do a demonstration on password security. So we have this website called Password Monster, and they have a how secure is your password. This is really neat. So as we see on here for the people listening, there's a space for us to type our password, and as we type, it'll show us how long it'll take for people to crack our password. So let's just say we want to go with the standard password. So if we just use password, the estimated time to crack is 0 seconds. And that's because most of these dictionaries have password listed. So let's try password, but we're going to put a 0 in. Again, 0 seconds. Look at that. So let's try something a little more difficult. We're going to type in Mikey 17. 1.15 seconds. All right, let's try to spice that up. We're going to do capital M, Mikey 17. It would take them 2.31 seconds to crack a password with 2 numbers and a capital letter. So let's go a little longer. Let's go M, and instead of I, we're going to do an exclamation point, and we're going to go with a K and a 3 and a Y, and then we're going to go exclamation point and a 7. Even after all of that, we're still at 4.62 seconds. So I'm going to type in a phrase that only I know, but it's an acronym. So you can use this with Bible verses. You can use this with your favorite song titles. We're going to do something that isn't human sounding. All right. So this is the password that I use quite frequently, and it's going to take them 2 billion years to crack this password. This is not involving symbols. There's only one number in this phrase and one period. That's it. This password is known as, it's very strong. It has lowercase, uppercase numbers and symbols, and it's only 12 characters long, and yet it would take someone around 2 billion years to crack this password. So I hope this has been a pretty useful demonstration on why password security is number one when it comes to securing yourself and securing your devices. So if you have that, if you have your router set up with a good admin password and a good password for the network itself, you should not have an issue with people breaking in. It's always a possibility. But again, we're trying to set up that deterrent. We're trying to discourage people from even attempting. So if someone runs through and sets their rainbow table or their dictionary to run and try to brute force this network, they're going to have quite a hard time if it's going to take them that long. And usually after, 30 minutes or so, people are going to give up. They're going to move on to another target. And I feel bad for the next guy, but we don't want to be the person that gets hacked or gets intruded upon. So let's take a look at our notes and see what I want to focus on next. So the next thing I would say would be clearing browser cookies and cache. So what is a cookie? A cookie is a part of a file. It's a little tiny little file, and it's what websites use to track you around. And it could be anything as innocent as storing your login information. And that's what cookies were originally for. Without cookies, you would have to go and log in to YouTube every time you visited. Every time you went to a new video, you would have to log in again and again and again. So cookies do have a good purpose, but they also use it to track you for advertisement purposes and to follow your behavior and your patterns, to establish when you use your computer, why you're using it, what websites you normally go to, what brands you're more interested in, what web pages you looked at, how long. I mean, they track so much, and it's almost scary how much they know about us now. Facebook's engineers came out and said that they have it down to a cycle where they can predict about when you're going to poop or when you're pooping. So just take that information and apply it to all of your online data. It's pretty scary about how quick all of this can compile. A lot of people have the attitude of, oh, well, I have nothing to hide, but that's not necessarily true. If some advertisement company can predict which way you're going to react and present that ad to you, at that point, they're basically stealing from you, because these companies now can make almost model AI, artificial intelligence, and they can train it to respond like you do. Then they can present it with certain advertisements, certain information, and they can see what you're going to respond to or what you may respond to better. And that's terrifying. I don't want virtual clones of myself out there. So let's show how we can clear out our browser cookie and browser cookies and cache. Another way that this is very useful is when you're having issues with any website. If there's a website that's not acting like it should, then what we want to do is we want to go in and we want to clear out our cookies and cache. So, not what I wanted to do. So we're going to open up my work account, and we're going to click on these three dots over here in the right-hand corner. It'll be next to our profile picture. And for Edge and Firefox, for Safari, usually these settings are in the same place. Most modern browsers now are based off the Chromium engine. So even if you're not using Chrome, you're still using Chrome. So like Microsoft Edge now is based off of Chrome. The Brave browser, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, it also piggybacks off of Chrome. So we're going to click on these three dots, and we're going to go down to Settings. So we'll click on Settings, and it'll bring open this new web page. So we're going to want to go to Security and Privacy. There are a few things here that I really like. So I want you to focus on this first button right here, this safety check. So if you run this safety check, it's going to check all of your known passwords, and it's going to check to see if any of them have been leaked out in data breaches. Google Chrome is pretty bad about involving extensions that are actually just spyware or malware in disguise. So you can check and see if your browser is misbehaving because of a bad extension here. It can also help you check your computer. It'll do a basic scan, and it will check to see if anything might have been installed or downloaded that may be malicious. So it's a very cool resource in the Security and Privacy tab. I also want to go down here and focus on this security area. You can use enhanced protection. You can lower it. You can do whatever. You can have them warn you if one of your passwords have been breached. Probably want to turn off this help improve security. If you ever see anything that's like help improve the experience or help improve this or that, you usually want to disable it, because that's another way these companies are tracking you. And let's see. We're going to go back up, and we're going to go to cookies and other site data. So you can allow all cookies. You can block third-party cookies. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we can send a do not track request. I want to enable that. There's another option, which if you want to go nuclear, you can do this, or as George Bush would say, nuclear. And he would do that little giggle where he shrugs his shoulders. Yeah. And you can click this, and it will clear out your data after you close that tab or that web page. So it's pretty good. There's a lot of features in here, a lot of settings that you can mess with within Google Chrome that can help improve your experience. Like the site controls down here, you can limit the notifications and the pop-ups, great feature. But we're going to focus on clear browsing data. You can also find this just by typing in cookies at the top when you go to the settings page. And we're going to go to clear browsing data. So you get this option. You can go down to last hour, 24 days, 7 days, 4 weeks, or all time. And usually you'll want to keep your browsing history if you're like me, or if you just don't want to have to remember that URL again, or if there's web pages you frequently access. This is a great way to keep that stored. What you're going to want to clear out are the cookies and other site data. And this will sign you out of any other websites you're signed into. So be careful about that. Make sure you have your passwords memorized or stored within Google Chrome, or perhaps a application like LastPass. You want to make sure that you have everything stored. And then cached images and files. So this will free up a little space. And if there are any websites that are broken or not loading correctly, this will usually be the fix. We're not going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and close out. But that would cover it for clearing cookies and cache. That's a very great thing you can do. And it'll help remove a lot of trackers. So if you don't want people tracking your data, that's one step you can take. One very simple, very easy step. So going in that direction, I'm going to go into cleaning your home PC. And there is one free tool. There is a paid version, but I don't use the paid version. I use the free version called CCleaner. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and I'll talk you guys through it for those on the audio version. So what we're going to want to do is open up Google Chrome, and we're going to want to work, and we are going to want to search CCleaner, and it's going to be ccleaner.com. So we're going to go to free CCleaner download, and it'll bring us to the download page. We're going to want to select clean an individual PC, and that will let us download this free version. So I already have CCleaner, the install file, so I'm not going to go through that whole process, but we're just going to look here at CCleaner itself. So they now feature driver updates within the application. It can raise your performance if your computer's been bogged down. They do have a built-in browser if you would like to use it, but I don't use their browser. It can also help clear out any errors. If there are any issues with programs you're using on your computer, if your computer is behaving erratically, even after updates, this can help fix some of the issues. And that would be done through the registry portion of CCleaner. You can also edit your startup programs, but that can be done within Windows, so I don't really recommend it for that. The big thing is the health check. So this health check, other than the registry portion, is one of the main uses of CCleaner. It's going to go through and look for unused files, unused file extensions, and it's going to remove these trackers. So if it notices any trackers that Chrome or any other browser has installed on your computer, it's going to clear those out. And it's going to kind of take care of us from that standpoint. And you'll be shocked at the thousands of trackers that you have on your computer. So CCleaner is a great little utility. It can really help clean up and speed up your computer. And it is a free software. I do recommend after running it, though, to immediately uninstall, because CCleaner likes to run in the background and it can hog some of those resources. And that's not something that we're interested in doing. Another application I would like to talk about, also free, is Malwarebytes. So what you'll want to do is just type in Malwarebytes, and we're going to want to go to Malwarebytes official, Malwarebytes official site, and they also have a free version. So at the top, you see the free download. We can click there. Hopefully it doesn't start the download because I already have it downloaded. They do have a paid version, and they also ask you to log in, but you don't have to. You can click through that. And with Malwarebytes, just like other traditional antivirus, it will run a scan of your computer, and at the end show you if it's found any vulnerabilities or any pre-installed applications that it thinks you might want to quarantine, any other infections. Malwarebytes is relatively decent at finding things like keyloggers. or any other malware that may be on the system. And the good thing is it is free. Just like CCleaner, I would recommend uninstalling after you're done because you don't need excessive applications in your computer. I'm one to talk as many applications as I have on my computer, but it's just not something that we need. Now, going through these recommended products, there's something else I would like to talk about, and I'll bring that over on the screen now. I use sometimes what's known as Brave browser. Now, let me pull it up over here on the main site or on the main screen. So for the audio listeners, I pulled open Brave browser, and if you're looking at it, it looks extremely similar to Google Chrome. And the reason for that is because it runs off of Google Chrome. The thing about it is they've removed most of the Google aspects. So Google tracks us everywhere we go. They track our phones, they track our devices. Even if you haven't signed in, based on your browsing history and your location, they can usually identify which user is using that product. So if you've ever not been logged in, but you start getting recommendations similar to what you may see when you're logged into Google, that's why. So if you see at this first page, you'll see they've blocked just on this computer almost 1,500 trackers and ads. Since there's a built-in ad blocker to Brave browser, you do save bandwidth and you save time. In addition, they also have this feature called Brave Rewards, where they reward you periodically for showing you advertisements. They'll just pop up in the bottom right-hand corner of the browser, and you can close out of them immediately. But since they're exposing you to this, to these advertisements, and none of them are intrusive, they're just usually things like crypto things and things in the metaverse, whatever. You can click right out of them, but they'll actually give you credit for that. And that's something that other browsers don't do, other companies don't do, is they will not pay you for when you're being exposed to all these different advertisements. Another thing I love about Brave browser is they go ahead and they do block all these trackers. So you remain pretty safe and pretty clear while you're using Brave browser. I know not a lot of people do it, but there also is a option to use a new private window with Tor. So if you're using a VPN or if you're using any other kind of secure tunneling protocol, you can get on the dark web using the Brave browser. And there's nothing illegal about the dark web or the deep web, but there's also nothing really redeeming or useful on it. There are secure ways to communicate. There are independent journalists on here. There are whistleblowers, but it's just a lot of crime and things that I would recommend most people stay away from. So there's not really much of a use for it. If you're just the standard everyday user, just the main features of Brave browser, I would say, would be the privacy and security that you have. Now, with this, there also are alternative browsers, not browsers, search engines. So a lot of people use Google, and that's great. People use Bing. And if you've noticed, Bing and Google will get two very different set of search results. Well, that's because Google is highly curated now. Most of their spots are because people are using certain keywords or they're paying to have their results pushed up. Google is also pretty tightly controlled. So sources and websites that may have popped up before may be gone now. And if you ever wondered why that was, it's usually because Google has delisted it or they've taken it off of one of the more popular pages. So one way to get around this is by going to DuckDuckGo.com. And this is another one of the more popular secure browsers. So DuckDuckGo is a good one. And they also have a browser. So that is another option for browsing the web. I can't quite remember the name of this search engine. Let's see if I can find it on here. There's a name of a very known search engine, and it's failing me. My memory is just not there. Start page. There it is. It's startpage.com. They suppose, or they claim, that they are the most private search engine. So if you do want that option, here you go. So that's about all I want to cover in that realm. So we're going to end the screen share. And I've talked about a few different options that you have if you want to use more private search engines or more private browsers. And let's see what else I have here. Yeah, we've kind of hit all of our goals. I'm sure I'm leaving out a bunch, so we'll recover this topic. We'll come back and talk about this again. Oh, yeah, I've already come to mind about what I wanted to talk about. So we want to go to a threat map. So I'm going to share my screen again. And for those of you that are listening, once again, this threat map, it looks just like you're looking at a global map. And it looks like almost countries are sending missiles and targets out towards each other. But if you look at the screen, it'll actually show you what country that the attack is originating from, or where they're headed to, and it'll show you the severity of the attack. Some of these might just be bot attacks. Some of them may be deploying spyware or remote management software. And as you can see, it's constantly pinging out. We can see Russia right now sending out cyber attacks. We have Ukraine here, they're just kind of chilling. But these cyber attacks are constantly going out. And the scary thing is they don't have to particularly target large companies. There are websites out there that have registries of unsecure routers, unsecure servers. So if we don't take the proper precautions, we may be next. And this threat map, and there's many like it, just kind of shows how intense this cyber warfare can be, because these may not be state-sponsored hackers. This can just be any random person with a computer. And that's what's terrifying. Anyone can be out there trying to launch one of these attacks. You can pick up Google on your computer, and within 30 minutes, you can be launching your own attack. And that's terrifying. They're known as red hat hackers. People that utilize this software and this knowledge, they're known as white hat hackers or white team. And they are our cybersecurity professionals that are helping safeguard what we're doing. And that's kind of what my goal here is today, is just to help educate everyone about what all threats are actually out there, and how we can take responsibility. We can take things into our own hands to secure our own networks and to secure ourselves as we're out and about. Just one last thing, VPNs are great. They can protect you. They can help keep your internet service provider from snooping on you, because they store everything we do and everywhere we go. But unless you're doing things encrypted, unless your phone is encrypted, unless you're using Telegram, maybe not Telegram, but Signal, unless you're using Signal, your communications are not going to be encrypted. All of our text messages, our calls, our emails, everything we do is being stored by our own government and possibly even foreign governments. So I really implore you to take a look into VPNs, take a look into virtual machines, anything you can do to encrypt your network traffic. Even if you think you have nothing to hide, there's so much valuable data that companies, there we go, I had a Biden moment, that companies will pay thousands of dollars for, because they want to be able to know and predict what you're going to do and how you're going to respond to different advertising campaigns or things they may introduce you to. So I really implore each of you to reach out if you have any questions. Take a look into it yourself. Go on YouTube, search how to secure your wireless router, up your password security, visit this password strength meter password monster, and test how secure your own password is. Try to stay away from things that are human sounding. We're humans, we speak different languages, and these dictionaries will be filled with these languages. And so if you can stay away from, the standard password one, or let me in, then you can definitely increase your chances of being safe while out using the web. Thank you for joining. Another thing I would like to talk about is my goal for this. I would like to have conversations with other people. If you feel like you have a story to tell, or if you just want to talk about your own life, your daily routine, things you've experienced in life, that's something I would really enjoy talking about. This is an opportunity to tell stories and get information out. And so if anyone out there has something they would like to talk about, a unique experience, or just telling their own family history, that's something I would like to jump into. Maybe we'll do one of these again. We'll see. But I'd like to thank everyone for joining up on the Extraneous and Miscellaneous podcast. We're now available on Amazon, Google, Anchor, Spotify, Audible. We're out there. We're out there. Our main feed will also our main video feed will also be through YouTube, and that'll be on my channel at Azatronics. The only way this can grow is if people share and engage with the video. So if you like it and you do want me to continue on this path, I would ask you to share this video out on your socials, or reach out to mutual friends and see if they would like to either come on the podcast or just contribute as a viewer. I would really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a great day. And I would ask everyone to pray for the world, pray for peace, and for the situation in Ukraine. There's a lot of tragic things going on right now, and that's one thing that we can take comfort in, is that God above is listening and watching to everything going on. Thank you.